long did you want me to go for?
You can have no more than 15 minutes, no less than 2. How's that?
Can someone tell me at like 10 minutes or something? I don't want to eat up anybody else's time, but okay, so am I on?
You are
We're
on.
doing
You
that.
are good, and we are recording.
Okay, so I really like interaction. So if while I'm saying something you have a question, I'm happy to be interrupted to answer the question then because I can't remember thoughts later, so I don't expect anybody else can either. So um, let's see. So I'll say like who I am and where I work, and then I want to say some of the resources that we had for programming. And then I'm going to talk about the types of programs we've been doing, and then the apps, some of the apps and resources that I just don't know how we would be doing this if we didn't have access to them, and then some of the challenges that we still face. So my name is Susan Myers. I'm the Director of Teen Services for the Spartanburg County Public Libraries, and I have worked here for 17 years, which is just so many years that it's surprising. But it is much different now than it was when I started. It was just me. And anyway, now I have my department is currently like we are our own department, the Teen Services Department. When I first started working here, that wasn't the case. But we have 5 people in my department right now. We should have 6. We're down a person, but we are in a hiring freeze and also not working our whole hours anyway. So there are 5 of us in Teen Services Department, and then we have 9 branch locations, and everyone has a Teen Services assistant at the branch. All right, now I'm going to talk about like actual physical resources because we also have 7 iPads, which is useful in programming, filming stuff. We had we bought 5 a few years ago for general programming, so that when we had um, have you ever used Kahoot, something like that? Which now they've really made it so it's hard to use unless you're a paid user. But sometimes not every teen has a smartphone, you know, and sometimes we needed devices in programs. So we saved our budget one year and bought 5, and now they've been really useful because everyone's been able to take one home and have any. Yeah. So, and then we have a department iPad, and then I have an iPad, and then we had a lighting kit, like a proper green screen lighting kit for programs, and then we have, since the pandemic, purchased a ring light tripod, an iPad tripod, and then an overhead tripod holder, iPod holder. And then we already had something called a snowball mic, and we bought a second one. I can show you that. That's one of the things I brought up just image wise. They're like $50, and they plug. You get an adapter thing actually, 'cause it's like a USB plug, but you can plug it directly into your iPad. And then we use iMovie to record programs, and that does the voiceover, and it makes it sound way more professional. We bought 2 because we are trying to incorporate branches into programming, and it was just too hard with back and forth. We need one that lives here at headquarters. So then we also had a pretty strong budget for programming, and we call our, what other libraries call like makeaways or take and makes or whatever, we call ours pick-me-ups because they are not always crafts. So all right, I say that all, but we actually did get our budget cut in half this year. So we are more counting pennies than we normally are. And it's crazy how expensive virtual programming is. So so that's some of the resources that we had in place and some that we purchased. And then 2 things that we also could not be doing this without is, just luckily before this, we had been cultivating a social media presence and also collecting teen numbers for Remind, an app that you can use to text teens and communicate with teens too, where nobody's number is shown once you have the number. So it's not like your personal cell or anything, and you can also use it from desktop. And it is amazing. It has a paid component that we don't do because it's so expensive, but you can get a lot for free. So we are able to communicate with teens, you know, when we're not seeing them in real life. We had these 2 ways that we can reach out to them, and I feel so lucky that we already had this in place so that we had sort of like a built-in audience when we started doing virtual stuff. Okay, so now programs. We've been doing, at the very beginning of all of this, there's children's services, adult services, teen services, and met with our like assistant director to sort of just hash out how this would work, mostly in the summer, but we've continued the same format. We all chose a day, and that was the day we just had one program a week per age group. So our day was Wednesday, and it's still Wednesday. So we are doing one for sure program a week, and then in the summer we did on Fridays an Animal Crossing hangout, which is just very limited in scope. I can't remember all the details now, but I think we could have like 10 people on the island, but like the staff person was one person. So it was just limited to the amount of teens that could even attend. Also, you have to have a lot of equipment to come to that program. You have to have a Switch, you have to have Animal Crossing. So it was still fine and good, but it wasn't, we would never have had that just as our only program because it was so specific. So we did that every Friday during, let's say, I think June through maybe the beginning, I think June through July. And then in August, we started doing every other week. And then Among Us became big. And so now we've been doing, instead of Animal Crossing, Among Us every other Friday. So when I say 1 to 2 programs, the second program is Among Us on those weeks. We were doing more recorded programs during the summer. And then the first tag meeting I was able to have virtually was in August, early August, and they let me know that they wanted more live programs, that they missed interacting with people. So we've been trying more for a 50-50 ratio since then. And really, if you include Among Us in that, the ratio is skewed to heavily favor live programs. So let's see, our recorded programs generally have a pick-me-up component to them. So yesterday we had a program, it's confusing because I say go live, but it wasn't, like it was a recorded program and the link went live, called Brace Yourself, where 2 staff members showed how to make 2 different types of bracelets. So one was a Kumihimo bracelet, which is like a fancy friendship bracelet, and then recycled paper bead bracelets, and we gave them all of the resources they would need to make those 2 crafts in a pick-me-up kit. So we have a couple of pick-me-ups usually a month, and that's what's getting kind of expensive, is just trying to think of programs that would appeal to a large group of teens, but also can be individually packaged, also sent to branches and not break, like all of these challenges. So we have 50 is about our goal to give out. At the beginning of all this, we did some that we had more of, and we struggled to give more. That it would really like sort of just go a lot slower once we got to 50, and it would be more of a challenge. And I didn't like having things hanging around for weeks. It was sort of like once the program went live, that was its moment. And it would just diminish in popularity after that, would be kind of forgotten. So we realized 50 was about the sweet spot, but it seems like maybe December through now, we've hit more of a stride and things are going even faster than they were. So, but we budgeted about for 50, you know, it's just, it gets expensive to add much more than that. And we don't want it to be too inexpensive of a pick-me-up, because then it's not very enticing often. You know, there's like a fine line between everybody wants it and it's too expensive for us to buy that many and whatever. Okay, so let's see. We have treated, this is one of my favorite parts of all this, is we have managed to treat a few, I call them cheatery programs, but it's like normally things we would have done as a contest or some kind of large passive program, but recorded programs, what are they but passive programs? You know, like teens are enjoying them at whatever point they see them. So we had a contest called Mask Up, where it came from teens, like the teen advisory group. They wanted to design a face mask. That we had a contest, that then the winning one we printed, and then that was like a weird pick-me-up, where after the contest we ordered 100 of these masks and we gave that out as a pick-me-up. So I made a video advertising that contest, and that was the program for that week. So it was just a little bit different. Like normally they would watch a program and learn how to do a craft, but that was more of a program where we challenged them to participate in this contest. So then we had we started book boxes in November, and that we also treated as a program. So it was recorded like commercial advertising book boxes, and then they could request a book box. And then in December, we did something called Unmuted, which was something we had talked about for literally years and couldn't financially figure out how to make it work, which was like a journal with teen content. So teens submit writing and photography and painting, all the stuff to showcase their talent, but we could never afford to print it before. And so now nothing's really printed, everything's digital, but it doesn't look like we cheaped out, you know? So, so we did that. So that was like an e-journal. And that was, again, we filmed a little recording saying what this is and submit your stuff. And then Unmuted was compiled and then released in January as, it actually, we didn't treat the release as a program, but we did highlight it. And then recently, so February 3rd, we did something called Operation Teen Book Drop, where we realized we buy a lot of prize books that we would give out at school visits. We're not doing school visits, obviously. We still get ARCs, and I used to give those at tag meetings, and they were piling up. And then we had gotten a lot of, one of our staff members who was in charge of the book box had reached out to a bunch of publishers, and magically they sent all kinds of ARCs and stuff. I think that they might have been sitting on a lot of stuff that they couldn't unload at conferences, which was fine. So give us free stuff. So they shipped us all kinds of things. And then we had also weeded our collection and had nice books that we do have something here at the library we call the free library, where we take good looking old library books, former library books, and then we like de-library them and have them so that teens can take them and they don't ever have to bring them back. But it was just sort of a workaround when teens can't get a library card or it's blocked or whatever. So anyway, we had all these books, we were drowning in books, and we thought we wanted to get some out to the community. So we identified several little free libraries out in the county, and then not every branch area had a little free library though, and so we were trying to be as inclusive and available as possible. So we took ARCs and the prize books, those two, not the weeded library books, and put those two hidden in library teen sections, hidden in plain sight though, like they're where the book should be in the collection, and then hanging out of it. Actually, that's what's sitting behind me. Let me just scooch back, I'll get it. Couldn't quite make it. All my ear things came out. So it says Operation Teen Book Drop, and then it says, congratulations, you found an Operation Teen Book Drop book to add to your personal library. And then my favorite part of this is there's a scratch off, and they scratch off here and they get to keep the book, and then the scratch off also shows a code that gets them another prize. And the prizes, we did have like, we do have gift cards and stuff available, but I think we put out like 230 approximately books out into the community, and about 70 of that 230, about 70 were hidden in libraries. In the libraries, every library had a gift card winner, and then we had autograph book winners. We gave out stickers and cups, just other prizes that we had. And that went live February 3rd, and it lasts until February 28th. And so that was another passive but kind of active thing, because we had to go hide the books and stuff. And then at the end of end of December, end of 2020, we did a survey of teens called Hindsight 2020, which just worked out in our favor, to evaluate virtual programming. So we texted all of our teens on Remind and asked them, what did you like? What did you not like? What do you want to see more of? All that. And we had about 100 responses, which was fantastic. And so that's informed some of our programming this year. How am I doing on time?
You have 1 more minute.
Okay. Apps that we cannot do this without are Google Forms. Love Google Forms. Linktree. Can I share my screen?
You should have that capacity, yes.
Okay, let's see. Oh, here.
Also, I did want to ask a follow-up, Susan. You said that your budget got cut by half. Was that entire budget? Was that your programming budget?
Our programming budget.
Okay.
So here's our Instagram page. So we couldn't do it without this, but then the link in our bio, usually Instagram just lets you have one link, but if you have a link tree, I didn't click on it because it's this. you can have so many links and it's great. So then we used Google Forms for things like, this is Operation Team Book Drop. When they get their code, they go into our link tree and they tell us what they found. It tells them about the prizes. We find out who they are. We can put a link to the video that went live. Anyway, then here's the snowball mic I mentioned. Oops, here, I made one bigger. They're fantastic, and we couldn't do it without iMovie. And then let me see, stop my share. Real quick, our challenges: reaching new teens is difficult because Operation Team Book Drop was a sort of outreach to try to do that, and so that's been fun. And then, you know, social media does sometimes reach new people. And then incorporating branch staff into teen programming has been difficult because we don't see them, and just the learning curve for all this stuff. And we have more time at headquarters. And then the time involved, virtual programming takes so much longer. And then the budget has been tricky because it did get cut. So those are the challenges. Okay, that 15 minutes went by so quickly. All right, thanks
really
for your
good.
attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Sure.
So we'll have an opportunity to follow up on some things later, but did anybody have a question that they wanted to ask now from what Susan was talking about? Okay, you got your 10 seconds to think about it. So, Alicia, thank you very much, Susan.
I was just taking a little bit of notes here. I like the link tree. I'm like, just gonna take some notes.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I was like, oh, I've never heard of that before. That looks really interesting.
I know.
Have to look at that.
I should have said Linktree is, there's a free, we use it for free. You can pay, but you get a lot for free.
Okay.
I like that. I like that. Yes, yes. So, yeah, okay, that took some good notes. So I want to share with my branches. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alicia Polkowski. I am with the Lexington County Public Library System, and I work at the Irmo branch, and I'm a children's librarian over here. And that includes children's, teens, and tweens. I focus some more of the teen programming in our branch. And so, yeah, this year's been fun. It's been fun. And I do totally agree with you. The virtual programming takes a lot more time to set up. And luckily, I am in my little virtual programming studio here. I have my lights on me so I don't look so pasty pale. But I have a small presentation because I do better with, I'm a visual learner. I have to see and feel. And luckily, I like pictures. Maybe you want to work. There we go. It's coming. Maybe not responding. No, there we go.
Yep, we can see it.
I know everything is like, oh, it's raining, so everything's going to be slow. Hey, I'm being slow. Everybody else being slow. Okay, so that's my full name because it's. I like to have a hard first and last name, just to keep everyone on their toes. And that's my information. So if you guys have any questions or think of anything after the program, please feel free to reach out, call, email. Our email's nice and long. So a lot of the questions were like, well, what did you do prior to the pandemic? Well, we did lots of things. I am lucky enough to have a high school 2 blocks away from me. And the middle school is another block away from that. We have a good homeschool group with us. And we have 4 high schools in our district. And then we have 3 middle schools and intermediate schools. So I've been lucky with that we've, become, we used to be a after school hangout. So we used to do lock-ins. We do lock-ins about twice a year. One was always an anime cosplay lock-in that my anime club planned with a ranch fountain, which is very important. The other ones included like Harry Potter or 1980s. Zombie one was popular. So the kids get to plan that. We do service Saturdays because in our district, a lot of the clubs, and to get a certain type of diploma, you have to have so many service hours. And volunteering is getting harder if you're under 16. Now they're not taking anybody, but before. And so, so let me see if I can get this. So this was our Harry Potter lock-in, and this was our service Saturday where the community got to donate clothes and luggage for teens in the foster care system, because teens were always overlooked and they were given trash bags to take all their stuff around. So we decided that we were going to have a drive, and the kids got to come and sort all the clothes, and we learned folding techniques. And they got to decorate some of the luggage for them. And then teens that had been in the foster system actually came and told their stories, all volunteers. That was really cool. We'd have a summer job fair, which is down here, and we'd have typically between 300 and 400 people come. And that's every April, and we haven't do that yet. We'd have crafternoons, we have Adulting 101 series, cooking demonstrations. We partner with a lot of the schools for like games days if they have a gaming club. So that's what we did before. And then in March, we shut down. So what do we do? Well, we had to figure out, what can we do? What can we do? What are our limits? How do we reach them? I've been in the system working for Lexington County for the past 12 years. And for most of that time, I've established an email to reach the teens. Now, I know email is still kind of dead, but most of the emails are to their parents as well, because the parents used to drive them to and from and get them here on Saturdays and things. Teachers are also included in those emails. Media specialists are included in their emails. That way, that is a line that teachers and students can reach me, not have the big formal address. And then that's how I can also let them know what's going on. And establishing the relationship with the schools has been a huge, huge help with this. It's not something overnight that you can do. It's taken me a few years, and then the teachers move or retire and stuff. But with that connection, when school was starting for our district this year, we had to move to September. The first thing the teachers did was reach out and went, "We use Google Meet. Do you use Google Meet?" I'm like, "I've heard of it." They're like, "Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be using Google Meet. Can you learn real quick?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So our district here with their Google Classroom. And so I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" They're like, "Well, since your library, you can't, at the time, couldn't come in, show kids how ebooks online so that they can still read books and we can still have that for them." And so that's what I did. And we had these LEAP days, and I was talking to mostly middle schoolers on how to access the library, like how to get a library card online, how to access our downloadable books, how to access some of the online resources. And in those weekly emails, I also put in the Discus login for them. And, do you need homework help? Here's tutor.com. This is how you log in. For you in South Carolina history, here's this. So I was teaching them, like, you are stuck at home, you need help. Sometimes talking to your teacher is not always the easiest. Here are some resources for you. Feedback with that from teachers and parents, like, "Thank you so much." We had teachers calling us, "How do I access this online? What do I need to do?" So that's been really great to show that, we're still here. We're still here for them. That was just huge. And then Rebecca and I got to partner with Dutch Fork High School and teach how the libraries are used, the state libraries resources, normal libraries resources. And then that librarian actually put me in contact with I don't call it social studies anymore, but the history teacher. And I taught them how to use Ancestry and Heritage Quest through the library. And then we got to talk more because They're like, what do you need help with in class? So here I am live one-on-one with a class. What do you need help? What has been your issues? What do you need from us? So that's been a huge, huge help. And now more and more teachers, of course, they all talk, are saying, oh, look, we can, the library can come in and we can talk. And I said, yes, please use us. And prior to the pandemic, I used to go out to the schools a lot. And so when I come back up on the screen, they're like, hey, it's that crazy lady that told us the scary murder story from Charleston. I'm like, it was all good. They loved it. And then the teachers are looking at me. I'm like, oh, have their kids recite it. They should know it. But it's just making that connection that, yes, you saw me in person. Yes, I'm still available. Here's one way you can reach me. You can also, here's my email. Here's my telephone. Reach out and with us. So over the summer too, we started dabbling with more virtual book talks. Getting over the fact of talking to a screen versus talking to like a whole classroom of kids. That was a struggle. You don't think it is, but because we live off, interaction with the kids and feedback, and they all turn their screens off, which I found out why. It's a bandwidth issue. They want it helps not less crashing if they have their screens off. And so that was been fun. And so on our, I'm just going to briefly go to this if it'll go. We developed a YouTube page, and come on, I know, go technology. It's coming. Can you guys see it? Is the YouTube page up?
The screen did change. We don't see anything yet, but if it won't load, we can always share out links afterwards.
Okay. Let's see. Screen sharing is probably. No, I want you to share this.
Do you need to do a new screen share?
Probably. I broke it. I broke technology.
Goals met for today.
I know. I like to break technology. I'm like, oh, look, I broke Google again. They look at me. I'm like, all right.
There we go.
There, okay. So this is our YouTube page. And of course, if you get over 100 people that go to it, you get your own live programs and stuff. So this has been really great. We kind of break it down. Both adult services and children's services use this. We've broken it down. We have story times, and all 10 branches participate in our virtual programming. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have virtual story time for kids. And then on Fridays, we have book talks or teen talks. That's me. So that's like a level up your reading one. We've done the breakfast recipes, which that one on Facebook got over 1,200 hits. So we're like, food is still popular with teens, just FYI. If they could only see how we set this up, it's hilarious. A lot of prayers and luck trying to get this. Again, we do cooking, fractured fairy tales. That was another fun one. We've done sign language. We've done historic. So it's really fun if we always go back down to the beginning and look like what we started with and started doing to what we can do now. It's like, oh, look, now we get all of our equipment. The Harry Potter birthday party, that was hilarious. Different branches filmed different segments and put it in, because usually we have a big Harry Potter birthday party here at our branch with different classes. So that's been a learning curve. We have a green screen that we purchased way prior to our event. But the system bought green screens, the little pop-out ones. They're in a circle and then they pop out. And then you have to watch a YouTube video for 10 minutes, try to figure out how to we're like, how many librarians does it take? So that's been fun. We have a light kit. Like I said, our backgrounds, the fabric shower curtain backgrounds have been really great and just budget friendly. Thank goodness for Amazon. When we have DSLRs, we most of the time just use our phones sometimes, and some tablets. And we have a wonderful editing team at our our admin, and we send them very raw footage, very raw. And we send it to them and they edit it and make it look glorious for us, because that's like a whole other beast to try to edit all that. And they have the software and stuff. But it's been great because, like, if we, for teens and fun stuff, we go in front of the green screen and they can add fun backgrounds. And I'm luckily enough to have a teen at home. He just turned 16 this week. He's all a 16-year-old. So I've used him. And I'm like, look, I'm going to use you as a teen for my teen video. And it's fun because with that, I share those videos in my email. I share the YouTube links because not all the kids have social media. And we share these on social media on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But I share those YouTube links, and the teachers that get the email, they've been sharing them in the school because my son's like, Mom, I saw you in school. And I'm like, I don't go to your school. No, I don't anymore. He goes, no, they've been playing the videos on the TVs in the cafeteria. And I'm like, oh, okay, you need to lead with that. I just saw you randomly in school. So when his showed up, he was all like, oh, I'm a YouTube star. And I'm like, what? But it's been great because the teachers are looking for help as well. And so to be able to provide that for them has just been huge. And again, being able to talk to the teachers and say, what do you need from us? What are you doing? And to have that relationship has just been phenomenal. I guess I'm very, very lucky. It's not a overnight success, but I go and how do I get the teachers' emails? I usually get asked. I go to the school's website and I look at all the reading resource teachers and the English teachers and the tutoring teachers, and they are automatically put on my email list, and whether they like it or not.
Alicia,
Yes.
You have about 1 more minute.
Okay. So I'm going to share this. So once we get them in, we like to do fun displays because we don't have any seating for them right now. So they have to come in, get their stuff and go. So we like to do fun displays. Like I Can't Believe It's Not Manga, and, Definitely Not Your Fairy Tale. These are other fun things we like to do. And we also include in our take and makes and take and make crafts and emails, so they can email us pictures of their take and makes from like, look, you completed it, yay. And then we post it on some of our social media, and we also post it in the branch too. Oh, look, you have fun take and makes. And then we actually do have a teen room in our branch. We're very lucky enough to have a teen room. I know that had been some of the questions in the survey was, making a teen room. Normally it's filled with really fun chairs and tables and such, but I've used all the tables for displays. So on the back wall there is As Seen on TV. So every Netflix and Hulu and CW show now. I've done like trilogies, I've done cozy reads, and of course our new book display there. So that's kind of what we've been doing. Question?
All right. Great. Thank you, Alicia. Now you mentioned that library staff at all of the branches are involved with virtual programming. Do you have teen-specific staff at any of the other branches? How does that kind of work out?
We don't necessarily have teen librarians. We have people that will focus more on teen, but like I can do birth through teen, but then my focus is more on teen. Linda does story times here, and she does tweens. So we have different areas that we focus on as a staff so that not one person's doing everything. But just like in some of our branches, there's only one YS person. So they do everything. And it's been fun to see some of the things that other branches have been doing, because they base it off of what their teens have want. And we're such a large county that it's interesting to see all the different variety that we can have.
Yeah, I will say that's one of the most fun things about everything going virtual is you get to see so much of what everyone else is doing. It's very interesting. All right. Does anybody have any immediate questions for Alicia?
I know it's dorky to say, I don't have a question, but I have a comment, but it's true. That's what I'm about to do. I think that your YouTube page looks so organized and nice with all of the covers for the videos like that. Like I wrote that down.
Oh,
I don't have control over ours necessarily, but I'm gonna share it as like, look how great this looks. Also, our mission statements are very similar. Ours is, oh my gosh. Okay, pretend I didn't say that. It's connect.
We'll
wait,
give
it's
you
probably-
a chance to try again.
Okay, it's probably on my business card. I'll look by.
I will pass that along. I will pass that to our social network person because it took a while to get that up and running.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Alicia. And moving on to our third presenter, Kira.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shira Polarski. I am not in South Carolina. I'm actually in Michigan. But, you know, teens are, I think, relatively consistent wherever you go. I am currently actually a children's librarian and don't work with teens anymore. But through the end of summer, I did. And the only reason I left that job was because the board was a complete nightmare. I love teens and I had a lot of success. So I'm going to, as quickly as I possibly can, go through all of the programs that I had this entire like summer. And oh my God, I have to allow Zoom. I got a new computer, so I have to allow Zoom to access.
To do the things, it's okay. Take your time. It's kind of like when people apologize for their cats walking through. I mean, we're all used to it by now. We really don't care. It's all right.
It's telling me I have to quit Zoom right now in order to be able to.
Yeah, you sent me the link. Do you want to
Oh,
see if
Yeah, actually, if you're okay with just being the one to share it, that sounds good.
let me see if I can make it work from my end.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. You know, you don't realize that you didn't set things up until they come at you.
We were in a meeting the other day and the assistant director was like, my computer has to shut down. And it just started doing updates like in the middle of it. She's like, I'll be back. And then she had to like come from her phone or what. You just never know. Why won't it let you stop the updates? That's what I've had a program about to start. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. Well, and I'm one of those folks that like IT is always like, well, what did you do? I don't know. I don't know what I did. Why can't you fix it? All right, let me share my screen and let's see if we can make this work.
Thank you.
Whereas like I have never really dealt with Google Slides. So
present in the top right is what you're going to click on.
Which is currently being covered by, there we go. Okay.
Woo. All right. Finding ways to get teens in the library. And we were completely shut. They weren't even allowed to come in for grab and go. So next slide, I guess. So first I'm going to talk about huge programs, the really big ones that you need additional staff for. So Battle of the Books, this was the first program that we did virtually. And we were like, no, we can't, we have to cancel Battle of the Books. And we were like, you know what? We just got a Kahoot account. Let's do it. So it was for middle schoolers that were living in or going to school in the district, and that includes private schools. We picked 6 books with varied genres and media, and they were all suggested by the tab. We tried to make sure that we had a lot of good kind of diverse representations so that the teens would see themselves in the books and be more excited about that. We worked with media specialists and reading teachers, and before the pandemic, we actually were able to get into the schools and book talk the books. But this year, I know the same library is just doing videos and sharing that. We had a reading teacher give extra credit to any student who participated. So something to at least think about. sorry, I just got an invitation for something and it made a sound. We paid for the trivia contest prizes because we had a decent amount of money, but we also had the costume contest prize winners. They got donation prizes from a local like arcade type place called Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. If you're ever in Michigan, go there, it's amazing. We had additional volunteers to help with tasks, Zoom chat monitoring, Kahoot report downloading, so we were able to figure out which team was winning after each round. I said, fix your settings, make sure that the teams don't have the ability to mark up the screen, because they will. Make sure they don't have the ability to turn on their microphones and shout out the answers, because they will. And these are the incredibly creative and amazing costumes. And I actually have some on the next page too.
I love the laundry one. What book
I
is
know.
that?
It's A Wrinkle in Tide. It didn't have to do with the book. It was just, they were just being creative, you know? So then the next slide has the one on the left, the Quarantweens, I really loved, because they each individually took pictures where they were holding hand sanitizer like weapons, and then they just photoshopped them together. It was very cute. Anyway, so the next slide is whatever the next big program. Oh, our summer reading kickoff was a murder mystery. We purchased it from mymysteryparty.com. And we purchased some expansion packs, so we were able to accommodate more people. If you don't have $70-ish, go in on it with another library or library system, and you can share the resources. I have an asterisk with teen appropriate because all of the characters in the pictures were wearing like sexy Halloween costumes, and they were all white. So I was like, all right, we're going to not send this to teens because I don't think they're going to like it. So we just kind of picked and chose the information that we shared. There's a link on there that's tips for virtual murder mystery programs, and I used a lot of the tips in there. We used Google Docs for each character. So we sent the teens out their Google Doc, and then we would update. One of us would be kind of vamping and like talking and engaging the teens, while the other one would be updating the Google Docs with the additional information. And then we'd say, hit refresh. We used Zoom backgrounds for like the fairy tale castle and like the detective's office. And we made a ghost background / icon for the murder victim, basically, to switch to when they got killed. Since the characters were assigned in advance, they wore themed clothes, so they were likelier to actually turn on their cameras and engage, which was cool. And then we started a summer reading long choose your own adventure story, where it began with those characters and they were able to choose what happened next in the story at each program, which encouraged them to come to as many programs as possible. So then the next slide.
I love that.
Yes. It was a lot of work to write the story, but it was fun. Our Harry Potter birthday party. I know a lot of people don't like J.K. Rowling, but that's fine. You don't have to give her money. You can still have this party. So we had an existing in-person program. We have additional staff and or volunteers. If you have older teens for maybe a tween or younger teen program, you can kind of bring them in. We broke into houses. Some of them have no idea what house they are, so we prepared a really basic house quiz, and invariably you're going to end up with like 10 Hufflepuffs and 2 Ravenclaws. And if they are like totally, yeah, I'm a Hufflepuff, well, but can you take one for the team and break into, more even groups? And when that happens, and they do, you say, oh, I award 5 points to each house. Thank you so much for being willing to do that. I love that house points because it's built-in behavior monitoring. And then we traveled with the head of house to activities. We had a Google Form escape room that we made, but you can find ones that are online. We had a Triwizard Maze that was also Google Form, but it was basically find things on the website. And we had Kahoot trivia, and I had actually done trivia via the social media channels leading up to the event. I have a ton of Harry Potter trivia questions that I got from someone at a Library of Michigan conference. So if you're interested, I can find his email address. Then we broke into classes. So we had Transfiguration, which was Telestrations. It's a free website that's sort of like Pictionary/telephone. We had Charms, where they made spells out of Latin roots. We had Defense Against the Dark Arts, which was an in-house scavenger hunt, like find the cup of Helga Hufflepuff, and you're like, ooh, look, I found it. And then they get points for that. And Care of Magical Creatures, which was show off your pets or talk about what pets you think are cute or you want or that kind of thing. And then we had prizes of gift cards, but you can also purchase items. The asterisk is for, I'm a big advocate of not purchasing things when you need them, but purchasing them when they're on sale. So go to your GameStop when it's going out of business and buy as many pop figures as you can, that kind of thing. Now the next one. How am I doing on time? Okay, the summer reading finale, we told them to wear silly hats. So then they turned their cameras on for group pictures, woohoo. We worked with a local pizza place to offer a deal to attendees that day only. The most popular things that we had done that our teens had wanted were Telestrations and Kahoots. So the Kahoots, we've been doing trivia, we decided it would be better to do polls. So it was like, would you rather, blah, 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 which is best, which is your favorite like manga series, pick of all of these. And then aside from additional staff members for the breakout rooms, I also hired a librarian from another library to run Jackbox games because I could not get Jackbox games to work with what I had, and I had the money to do it, so that was what I did. But Jackbox games are really popular, and I know certain libraries have Jackbox games every week during the pandemic. We had the summer reading prize announcement, and we had the final formal recitation of the completed Choose Your Own Adventure story. And then the next. So small and more passive programs. We had a weekly writing seminar, and part of the reason that we did that was so that there could be additional programs where they could come and work on the Choose Your Own Adventure story. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there, but you can see bringing your character to life in improv. We did have friends who were experts in drawing and improv come and present to the teens, but it's something you could work on your own. Marvel movie mustache moments is, we have mustaches that you print out and you tape to your screen or TV or whatever, and when it lines up, you pause and you take a picture and we post it on social media. It was a cute one. T-shirt transformations, that's what that picture is. It's a teen showing off how her fringe from her t-shirt tote bag looks like macaroni and cheese. Local Legends Around the Campfire was sharing local ghost stories or real ghost stories that have actually happened to you. And it sort of just evolved into whatever scary stories people wanted to do. But I had a screen share of a campfire on YouTube the whole time, which was really cute. And then we had the D&D character creation as part of the writing seminar to think about character development. And then the following day, we had a D&D one-shot that was like, even if you've never played D&D, come. And then it kicked off our bi-weekly D&D mini campaigns, which we had on Discord. I highly recommend, if you do Dungeons and Dragons, especially on Discord, make a channel called Rules or Behavior Guidelines, and then put the rules in and put X card, which is sort of like safe word of D&D, as an option. I had a teen make an incredibly inappropriate joke, and I said, X card, that wasn't appropriate, now let's move on. And the teen, maybe 5 minutes later, was like, I just want to apologize to everyone for what I said. And it was like, oh, yes. So next page. Volunteering community partner programs. So for volunteering, we give hours for Teen Advisory Board and leadership opportunities where they can work, older teens can work the tween programs, or teens can work youth programs to help out with the bigger ones. We did podcasting. Anybody who had a decent microphone, on their computer or phone could record podcasting, but also even if they couldn't, they could work on scripting. They could work on finding people to interview for the podcast. content creation, basically like if they wanted to do book recommendations or reviews or that kind of thing that we could post on social media for people, I would always award volunteer hours to anybody who was willing to do that. Warm wraps, that's what that picture is. It's like big, like felt pieces that they cut little fringe and tie together to make these warm blankets that we worked with a retirement community, but you could work with, you know, a homeless shelter or foster home or anything like that. And those, we had the money, so we paid when that fabric was on sale at Joann's, but you could work with local businesses, you could work with, I know there are a lot of quilters groups, and you might, you know, look into that resource. Operation Goodie Bag is, you know, decorating different kinds of goodie bags to share with first responders, and just putting a variety of snacks in it. So, you know, you can make those kits, they can make them and then bring the goodie bags back. All volunteer opportunities. And then partner programs, we had a Healthy You series that had been happening before the pandemic. So the two that we did during the summer were Self-Care During Quarantine, which was presented by a trauma outreach specialist from a local hospital. Reach out to your local hospitals. They do outreach a lot of the time. And it was great. And then the Insider's Guide to College Admissions Tests, basically about how things were changing because of the pandemic. And we allowed teens and adults, like parents of teens, to come to it. And that was by the senior director of Revolution Prep, who do free SAT and ACT exams, and they are the easiest people in the world to work with, and they will do so much free stuff for you. I cannot recommend them enough. And my careful share horror story was a community organization reached out wanting to do healthy relationships, and it sounded great. I looked them up, everything seemed on the up and up, and then I subsequently found out that they were affiliated with a crisis pregnancy center, and they really, really, really focused on abstinence, and they assumed that everybody who all of the teens who attended the program were cisgender and heterosexual, which was not the case. And I had to apologize to a lot of teens afterwards. So just do your research, be careful who you work with. And that might be it. Questions, comments? I do work at this one library, but I decided I would just share my Gmail if you want it. And I put my LinkedIn if you want to contact me that way. And actually I pulled the links that I had in there. So let me see if I can find them.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions on that presentation?
I started eating a granola bar at the wrong time. I have a question about, it seems like you must have the same teens come consistently if they were working on a story. And so you can depend on them to like always be there?
No, not entirely. We did have the last, for Choose Your Own Adventure, we always shared with them the last paragraph. And at the beginning of the program, we would share the link for the people who came early and kind of say, you know, look at this if you want to read the whole thing. And then we would have the last paragraph that we would read aloud, and then they could decide on what happened next. And we typically gave them options, but if they didn't like the options, they had the ability to write a new option, but usually they liked one of our options.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So, for the next 15 minutes or so, we are going to go into breakout rooms. which is your opportunity to maybe ask some more in-depth questions, talk about some of the challenges that you are each having individually in your library services, and work through with the whole group, you know, what are maybe some different approaches that you can take to solving some of those. So here is the link to a Jamboard where we can kind of brainstorm and have some of those discussions. There are 3 different pages, one for each group. So depending on what breakout room you're in is which one you will use. So there's a link for that if you want to go ahead and open that up in a different browser window. And I am going to get you all into rooms. Let's see. And like I said, we'll have about 15 minutes. Okay, here we go. And you will have nope, come on. 15 minutes. If I can make it do what I want it to do. There we go. And all right, I will see you all on the other side. Assuming that we ended up evenly. Let's see. Yes, that happened the way I wanted it to. That happened. Yes. Ha. It's always a good thing. Oh. So we lost a couple of people.
Do you want to stop the recording now?
Well, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to pause